Museums and tourism destinations are feeling the negative effects of COVID-19 now more than ever in the Eastern Cape province. Tourists who used to travel to the province during the Mandela month are unable to do so now because of this pandemic. The small town of Mthatha in Qunu village, where Madiba comes from, is a ghost town as museums and tourist centers now remain closed. For more on this, we now joined by the Arts and Culture MEC in the Eastern Cape, Fezeka Nkomonye, who is in East London. Good afternoon to you, MEC. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Good afternoon, Palesa. Good afternoon to your viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much indeed for your time, MEC. Now, at face value, it looks like things are bad, but you, the right person to tell us as to just how bad is the impact of COVID-19 on tourism in the province, on museums and heritage sites, especially as we were celebrating Tata yesterday.
It most certainly, the pandemic has really changed how we do things. Traditionally, or in the past years, around this time, you would have seen a buzz of tourists and learners from schools visiting our museums, the Nelson Mandela Museum and Qunu Museum in Mthatha, to learn more about the history of Tata and the values he espoused. But this time around, because of the COVID-19, it's really quiet. Like you said earlier on, it looks like a ghost town. And this has a negative effect not only on our museums, it also has a negative effect even on tourism, because a lot of people would have visited Mthatha around this time and would have used our BNPs and our chalets. So we really are feeling the pinch at this moment.
And I suppose the people who are feeling the pinch even more are those who are employed at these museums and guest houses that have been closed for some time now. Talk to us, how are they surviving? How are these museums surviving? In particular, as I said, the staff that depends on salaries from these museums.
It's not easy, Palesa, I must say up front, particularly for those who the levels of lockdown have not really allowed them to go back to work. But as a department, what we have been doing for the past 4 months is to give them subsidies for compensation of employees and as well as minimum maintenance of those museums. But unfortunately for the tourism sector, it's not so good because some of the BNBs are not yet ready to accept tourists because of the levels of the lockdown. They can only come for work purposes and not for leisure. So it really has impacted them. But in essence, what we are trying to do is to keep the museums staff sustained in the sense that we're giving them operational costs, money and minimal maintenance. So we're keeping them, even though they are closed, we're keeping them sustained.
But what are the plans? Are any plans perhaps in place to sort of open them anytime soon, or are you going to move to the new normal of going virtual and everything?
We are working around the clock, Palesa, to ensure that hopefully.
All right, apologies. We've lost that line to the MEC in the Eastern Cape, responsible for arts and culture. That's MEC Fezeka Nkomonye. We were talking to the MEC about the tourism industry, how it's been affected by the COVID-19 and the plans in place to ensure that things continue to run amidst this COVID-19 pandemic. So we are not able to reconnect. Okay, all right. So the MEC is back. So MEC, you were still talking to us about how to adopt to this new normal going forward.
I'm so sorry about the break in transmission. What we are trying to do now is to ensure that we provide the protective clothing, the PPE for the staff, and all the necessities that are required.
Apologies once again, we are losing that line, but yeah, we already have the gist of what the MEC was telling us. That's the MEC responsible for arts and culture in the Eastern Cape, Fezeka Nkomonye.